Okay, so now
So
we
okay.
have
We have Gligoric, the
Gligoric.
well-known Yugoslav grandmaster. I mean, he was legendary, Gligoric, of course. And he played himself, Gligoric played usually King's Indian. Almost in every important game, he played King's Indian. This time, he didn't want to play against Kasparov, and he chose a little bit more, you know, a very safe line like this to play Nimzovic or Queen's Indian against Kasparov. It was very dangerous. So okay, he played this, but this time he chose the very sharp line for black. You know, c5 immediately instead of bishop b7 or bishop a6. That are two alternatives. c5 gives a very sharp game where both players have to play very, very safe it seems, but in one moment somebody has to force a little bit, So here, first of all, if white wants something, he has to push. If you play e3, is a normal line where white doesn't have too much. It's very interesting, but not very big advantage for white. Okay, after d5, everything is move by move. So d5, now bishop a6. Then again, if you want something, you have to play queen c2, the only good possibility. Why? Because e3 was too modest. If you play e3, you have a normal position from Benoni, but white, instead of having the normal position with knight c3 and e4, played two modest moves, a3 and e3. Is no advantage for white, you see. So after queen c2, now if black wants to take a pawn, is not good because he loses material. Now, of course, white takes, and knight takes d5 is very bad mistake. After queen e4, you are lost with black, you see. After queen e4 check, you lose at least a piece.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So, of course, you can't take, no? And you have to move something else. And here, g6, bishop f4, d6. And now knight c3, bishop g7, and now here very important move. If you want to do something, you have to play different. If you play e4, is a normal line from Benoni, more or less complicated, But he played queen a4 check, very interesting. Now after queen a4, you have many possibilities. Knight d7 is bad because you lose the pawn in d6. You can play like Gligoric, bishop, queen d7 or b5, very complicated after b5, but it's probably okay for white, you see, because now after b5 he can take with the knight, you see, and black has some initiative, but probably not enough. Now he has to castle, yeah, and he goes back. He took a pawn, and white tries to keep the pawn, and black has some small initiative.
Maybe another pawn.
Maybe it's not enough, you say, but okay.
Maybe another pawn here also.
No, another pawn is dangerous. After knight d5, you are in trouble with white, you say.
Knight d5.
Knight takes d5.
Okay.
This is not good for white. If you open too much, it's not good because you have the king in a very dangerous position in e1, you see.
Yeah.
So, all right, instead of this, after queen a4, queen d7, and now the game is almost forced, you see, the rest of the opening, you see. Now white took the pawn, and we have the game. Now he took there, he took, and knight takes d5. Okay, after knight takes d5, castle. And now is very strange, but it's completely different, the position, it's completely different as the usual line, you see. And okay, he attacks the knight e7, and e4 very quickly. Okay, now you have to take in f1. He takes with the rook, and white is better after the opening. I mean, the result of the opening is clear, a little bit better for white in any case, you see.
Why? Because it's more developed?
Yeah, and he has more space. And for the moment, the king is still in e8,
Yeah.
Well, it's not decisive, but, white has something dangerous enough, you see. So now you have to be very careful, knight c6, and here knight c3. Commenting the game himself, Kasparov said that probably the best way to do it for black here was to take immediately in c3, and after b takes c3 to play f6. Maybe, okay. Maybe it's okay to have somehow an even game, But it's better for white anyway, even here, If he doesn't take in c3, he accepts the normal position with the bishop from g7, which is normally a good piece, The bishop from g7 in any position is okay for black. It's like the bishop from king's Indian, which is a very powerful piece, for black. And of course, Gligoric playing himself many king's Indians, he preferred not to give the bishop, of course. You don't give. It's not pleasant to give such a bishop,
Yeah. So,
and he accepted the normal line where white is a little bit better all the time, but you don't see how exactly, you see. You think that your opponent has always something, but okay, you hope to resist, So, okay, after rook d8, knight b5. Now, okay, rook d7. For the moment, he didn't lose something, But it's unpleasant for black, you see, even here. Now he goes back with the bishop. Now he forces you to take. If you want to castle, you have to take first in d1,
yeah.
So he took, white takes, and after castle he has the line. And the rook comes with tempo in d7. If this is enough or not, we'll see. But it's already unpleasant for black. If black has a good chance to defend, he has to play always the best moves and sometimes the only moves, you see. So now he attacks simply. He wanted simply to take the pawn, So the only defense is rook a8, Okay. After rook a8, okay. The only moves. He attacks the knight. Okay, what to do? Knight c8. Okay, so now again, knight c7. The only move, rook b8. Now again, knight a6. Now again, the only move, rook a8. For the moment, it seems the knight is a little bit out of play, but the knight is very strong in a6 because controls all the squares and the rook has no activity. But white has to play very precisely also, You have to move back the bishop, One small mistake is probably enough to give black some counterplay, enough probably to save the position, So, okay, bishop f4 is move by move. White tries to win a tempo. In every position, he tries to win a tempo, Bishop f4. So, okay, knight back. It was a little bit time trouble. Therefore, they repeat, I think, once the position. Bishop there, knight back, bishop g3. Now back. And now he changes the plan and goes to h4. Now it's clear. He wants to come with the bishop on the other diagonal. Now, to defend the knight from f6, from e7, you have to play e6 here, f6 here, or to play bishop f8, like in their game. f6 is not very pleasant, You have to calculate to see what happens after f6, e5. Very unpleasant for black, in all kind of positions. And bishop f8. Bishop f8 is very passive, He doesn't lose material, but is very passive for black, Now, if you look at this kind of position, every black piece is,
Tied.
is tied and very difficult to do something. You have no counterplay. And against Kasparov is most unpleasant, Against a player like Kasparov, he has the initiative. He's very dangerous tactically, and any small mistake is enough, you see. And from here, it's very instructive. Bishop f6, very good move, very natural. Now, okay, black has to find the plan, what to do. He wants to, to trade a piece, but white doesn't agree. He moves the rook to c7. Now again, he plays rook e8. Why? Because if he played rook c8, natural,
Yes.
After rook c8 is probably lost already for black, Rook c8, bishop takes e7. Now you have to do something. What? If you take with the knight to protect the rook, you lose the pawn from a7. If you take first the rook from c7, rook takes c7, white has time to take in f8. Now takes in f8, and he has two pieces for the rook. Now the only good move is to play rook d7. And after rook d7, after bishop h6 is losing for black because he has rook against two pieces. Clear advantage for white, probably decisive, you know. Okay, so unpleasant again, rook e8. Okay, after rook e8, what to do? g4 again. He gives the move, almost Zugzwang again. What to do? Bishop g7. Okay, g5. Again, if you take in f6, you can resign. You lose a piece, at least one piece.
Yeah.
So he has to wait again, and he played bishop f8. And now again, he tries to come with the king. If you don't do something with black, I mean, if you don't have any other good move, the plan for white is very simple. King c3, king c4, king b5. He arrives in b5, black can resign. You know, because it's complete Zugzwang. You know?
Yeah.
So what to do? Rook c8, the only possibility, you know. And after rook c8, rook b7. Again, what to do? Knight d4. Desperate move, but especially in side note, in time trouble.
Yeah.
But now the position is completely winning for white, you know. Now simply he took, king d3. Any endgame is lost for black, you know. So again, the only move, knight c6. Okay, so now after knight c6, f4. Now you have to move something with black. What? Bishop d6. Okay, e5 with tempo, you know. Bishop f8 back. b4, Zugzwang, complete Zugzwang. Unbelievable, you know, unbelievable. It's very normal, but the position is like this. So the knight d8, he took now in d8. He took in d8 and rook takes a7. Okay, black could resign, but he continued a little bit, you know, h6, h4, h5. Okay, knight c7. Okay, he resigned.
He resigned, yes.
He loses at least another pawn if he doesn't lose something else, you know. After knight b5, knight takes d4, and he continues, you know. Black has no move at all. The bishop from f8 is pat, you know, no move at all. The rook from d8, the same, you see. Yes. Demonstration, you see. It seems very easy, but it was complicated and very instructive, you see.
True.
Until here, of course. Here, everybody understands, you know.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.